Hi everybody, thanks for joining me for another tutorial in Melinda's Rubber Room. I'm Melinda Pierce and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm here today to show you how to make this fun fold card. It's actually not that difficult to make, and it's just a fun little card something different. It does require a little bit different size envelope. I think it fits in a 5x7, so that shouldn't be too hard to find. But let me point you down to my work surface and we'll get right to it. Okay, so I got my camera a little bit closer to my work surface. Somebody requested I do that, so hopefully you can see my work surface better. I do have all of my measurements over here, so if you want to take a snapshot of those, and then you can always zoom in on those after you take your picture. So we're going to start with, I'm not going to do all the cutting, but I did want to show you how to maximize your paper for making this card. So you're going to have to start with a little bit bigger piece of paper because it does have to end up being 8.5 by 11.5. So I've just extended my cutting arm here so that I can reach out to 11.5. So I'm going to cut at 11.5 with the darker blade on my cutting, on my cutter. And then turn this and cut it at 8.5. And don't throw away that piece because you can use that later. Okay, so now what we're going to do is start scoring this along the 11.5 inch side of the paper. And we're going to score that at 1 7/8. And that's with the light gray blade. 3 3/4. 5 5/8. 7.5, 9 3/8, there, and 11 1/4. Alrighty, so then we're going to turn the paper on the short side and we're going to cut that into 1 7/8 inch strips. So you will need to start with 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11.5 paper because this size that we started with will only cut, I think, 4 strips, and we need a total of 6. But what's nice is if you start with 3 pieces of 8.5 by 11.5 piece of cardstock, then you'll have just enough strips to make 3 cards, I believe. Okay, so now you have these 4 strips. I'm going to bring in my other sample because I have 6 strips of those. Okay. So now we have our 6 strips, and you're going to end up folding all of them the same. So you're just going to do mountain folds on all of those folds. Okay. And I do want to thank the person that commented about moving my camera closer. I do appreciate all of your comments to help serve you better. So feel free to leave comments on my YouTube channel. Be happy to. I look at all of them and I do respond to any questions that you have. And I appreciate all of your comments and support. This is a card that we did at our Wednesday Zoom session. I do those Wednesdays at 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time. And then I do follow up with the videos like this afterwards. So if you miss the Zoom session, you can always catch the YouTube video. Okay, so I should tell you, so I am doing mountain folds on all of those folds. And then on the very last one, where you have the tiny little tab, this one here, I'm just putting glue on there. And then I lay that flat and I fold in the square. And that way everything lines up together just fine. Now I can see that that square is a little long. A good thing to do is go ahead and fold your strips different ways. And if anything is not quite right, you'll see it when you fold them flat like that. And that's exactly what happened with mine. My score lines weren't exactly where they should have been. So I'm just adjusting those a little bit with folding them over, making sure they fold flat. Okay, so there I have my 6 strips all folded the same. And then we're going to bring in our designer series paper and all of our squares. I have that all listed here. So you have 16 squares that measure 1 5/8 by 1 5/8. That is, those are these ones here. And I have 8 mats that measure 1 5/8 by 1 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I have 2 of these that are the other print. Okay, so I have 16 1 5/8 by 1 5/8. I have 8 mats. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 2 extras of those. Then I have 8 1 3/8 by 1 3/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A few extras of those. And then I have 2 1 5/8 by 3 1/2. That's these 2 pieces here. And then I have 2 white pieces that are 1 3/8 by 3 1/4. Okay, so those are all of my pieces that I need. So what we're going to do first is you're going to take one of your hexagon pieces. It turns out to look like this after you've folded it in half and did all those steps. I'm going to take one of those and just put glue right down the center of one of those squares. So you can see that it creates 3 squares here. You're just going to put glue on the center one. And you're going to take your other hexagon and put that right on top, matching up those squares. You want to make sure that they're even top to bottom, and on the sides everything lines up. Make sure that glue attaches really well, and that's going to be the first part of our base. Okay, and then we're going to take another one, do the same thing. Have these windows on the side of me, this side of me, and at this time of the morning it has some weird sun coming through it, so it's hard to see everything perfectly. I'll do the best I can. It's kind of my motto these days, just do the best you can. All right, so there we go. So now we're going to start taking our mats and our DSP pieces. So I'm going to bring my sample back in here just so I can make sure I'm doing everything exactly right. Okay, so we had 16 of these, so those are going to go on the pieces like so. The first one is going to go 3 down. So you're going to cover all of those outside pieces that will be showing. Just trying to see if make sure I did that right. So that it actually goes like this. Okay, that's right. You can turn this card so many different ways depending on what look you're after. I'll show you that at the end. Okay, so that goes like that. And then you're going to go ahead and do the other side as well, the opposite side. I'm just going to let the glue sit a little bit on those inside pieces before I try to do those ones. I actually use some of the retired 6x6 paper on these cards. It's a great way to use up some of those little pieces that you have. Or if you have a 6x6, you can just cut them into little squares. So on my Zoom sessions, I do encourage people to use the supplies that they have. If they don't have the supplies that they need, they can either purchase them on my online store at melindapierce.stampinup.net, or I can supply a kit for them that will have everything pre-cut and ready to go. Just kind of folding those down so I can access these inside areas easier. Okay, so now we're just going to slip these pieces right on the inside of the tops of the base. Now you could put some of these DSP pieces on prior to gluing it together, but I think it's easier to be able to see the base of your card and how it fits together in order to decide how you want your DSP to go. If you're interested in attending any of my Zoom classes, you can go over to my Facebook page at www.facebook.com/melindasrubberroom. And I have all the details there about upcoming Zoom classes. It would be nice if you could join us. Everybody is welcome, and it's a great way to ask questions about products that you might have or things that you've seen that you don't quite understand. And we do the cards together so that if you run into any issues along the way, then I can help you real time with those problems that you might have. Okay, so right now I'm just putting the DSP on the inside of this base here. Matching up all those little squares. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on my Zoom. on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook page. It's a little bit easier to answer questions on my Facebook page. So you could just message me there. I am offering a special this month for the month of September. If you make a $40 purchase, you will receive a handmade card by me, as well as a special little goodie. So I hope you enjoy those little gifts that I send you. Just my way of saying thank you for supporting my business. Okay, this is the last inside butterfly. Okay, so I did put squares on the bottom as well. You don't need to do that if you don't want to, and I actually have only 2 of the right size, so I'm not going to put them on the bottom of mine. But if you do have enough squares left over, you can do so. Okay, so then we're going to take our other 3 pieces, and you're going to have 2 pieces that are folded the same way as before, and then you have this third one, and all that you're going to do is take that and turn it in on itself to make like a little arrow. See how that looks like a little arrow? So you're just taking that the bottom 2 squares and folding them in on themselves, like so. And then what we're going to do is put glue on this center square again, as well as the other side. We're just going to turn that on its side, fish that in through the base of the card, and line up those squares. And close the base. Make sure everything lines up. Make sure that's nice and straight to the cross piece. And you're going to open it, do the same thing with this one. This one is going to go at the other end of the base. And feed that in. Match up your squares, your center squares, and glue that together. I really like using liquid glue on this project because it does allow you to move things around a little bit. You can see here my 2 outside pieces aren't quite lined up, so I can move this one just to line it all up. Like so. And then all that we have left is the center piece, this one here. And all that you do is put glue on that outside piece and on the other outside piece of this section here. So you have your arrow pointing up, and then you have your glue there and here. Okay, and then we're just going to feed this into the card just like before. And you're going to line up that square with the center square. Again, close that up so you can line everything up. All 3 of these points on this end should line up. The center one is sticking up a little bit, so I'm just trying to push that down a little bit. Okay, so there is the base of my card. So the top of the card will always be the one that has, if you didn't do them on the bottom, it will be the pieces that have the DSP on the top of the arrows pointing up. Okay, so now what we have to do is line up all of our mats with our DSP. So we need 8 of these. You can have your mats made out of DSP or cardstock if you choose. I use DSP just so that it wouldn't be quite so heavy. You just want to go ahead and adhere all of those smaller pieces to the mats. Again, these are the ones that you had 8 mats that measured 1 5/8 by 1 5/8. And then the DSP that measured 1 3/8 by 1 3/8. And you needed 3 of those. I mean 8 of those, sorry. Should have had some of these glued ahead of time. I'm sure you don't need to watch me gluing. I do try to do that. Try to prepare as much as I can ahead of time so you don't have to watch me doing some of the mundane things. But hopefully if you're doing the card with me right now, it gives you time to do everything as well. Stampin' Up! Is offering a few different things right now. Specials. We have weekly specials that come out every Thursday. You can view those online on my online store at melindapierce.stampinup.net. We also have some exclusive dies that have come out. You can purchase those with the stamps and get a 10% discount as bundles, or you can buy them individually if you already have the stamps. You can view those online as well. Okay, so here are my completed mats with the squares attached, and we're just going to go ahead and attach those on these pieces that are sticking out on this side. So that's the side that has the 3 arrows poking through, or the 3 points. Not quite sure what to call them now that they're not really hexagons anymore. So it's been really hot here in Santa Barbara, California. So it's been a little hard to get into Christmas card making, but I did start to do a few over the weekend. It's never too early to get started, even though the weather is really warm. So we do have a new holiday catalog out right now. It has some great Christmas offerings. I really like some of the paper. It makes really quick and easy Christmas cards. Which is kind of nice if you're making a lot of Christmas cards, to be able to make them kind of quickly but still have them personalized and easy to make. Okay, so there is that completed side with all of my butterflies. And now I have this side, which is supposed to be the front of the card. So that is the one that has the greeting on it. So I'm going to put two of my mats. Oops, I did it again. Okay, so this is the front of my card. I was looking for this inside piece, and I was looking on the bottom. So that doesn't work. Okay, so two of the butterflies go on this section here, the outside, the two outside pieces. Like so. Now you have that looking like that with the larger inside piece going here. And then I have the two designer series paper pieces. These measure the 1 5/8 by 3.5. And instead of doing squares, I made a rectangle to fit over those two squares, just like so. Thought it looked a little bit better than having the creases of the, or the breaks in the paper of making the squares. Okay, so there's that first one. And the second one. I think I'm actually going to leave the white off of this one. The white is basically where you would put your greeting and where you would sign the card. So I'm going to leave that off because once you attach those two white pieces, it's really hard to stamp, if not impossible, to stamp on the inside. And it's really hard to write as well. So once you stamp the images and do your writing on there, those would be placed just like so on the inside of the card. And make sure that you have the card facing the right way when you place those on. Again, look for your butterflies at the top of your points. If you did put the butterflies down on the bottom, you wouldn't have to worry as much about whether or not this greeting is facing upright. So you can see on this one, I put the designer series paper on the bottom as well. So I didn't have to worry whether or not the card was facing this way or this way. But just be aware of that when you're placing your white cardstock down with your greeting on it. Again, there's the top and the bottom. And then it does fold up just like that to fit into your card. I mean, into your envelope. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video. It was a little bit different than some of my other cards. So it's always fun to try something new and different. If you have any questions, again, feel free to leave a question or a comment on my YouTube channel. Feel free to give me a thumbs up and share the video. Those actions help me to get more visibility and have more people enjoy my videos. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.